Oh, it's a Thursday night. The show formerly known as the Orange and Blue Bloods, the Buddy Martin Show, with our usual outstanding guest tonight. Gators got a game on Saturday, and people are a little bit worried. But it's a game that we'll talk about and break down. Is there really a reason to be concerned? Yes, the Gators are 17.5 point favorites. I think that's the last line I saw. South Florida was pretty stout, looked really good against a ranked team last week. And so, what do we expect? Well, best I can tell and listening to others and reading and talking to others is that there'll be a little more opposition, but the Florida Gators should be able to handle this one. And they have to because the rest of the schedule is not good. So their schedule looks a lot tougher now, doesn't it, after the weekend? So give us your thoughts. We're going to be on here for the next hour. We'd love to have you weigh in. You can go to the message boards if you'd like. Give us your thoughts, your talks. And I've asked the question in the opening and the promotion, is this fair? The ranked opponents by some teams, this is the number. LSU 7, Oklahoma 7, Mississippi State 7, South Carolina 6, Alabama 6, Kentucky 6, Arkansas 6, Texas 5, Georgia 5, Ole Miss 5, etc. Florida 8. 8 ranked opponents. Wow. Got their work cut out for them, but they're up to the task, I think. We'll talk with our first guest host, regular Thursday night. Ben Troupe will join us next right here on the Buddy Martin Show, and we'll talk about this and other things. And by the way, yes, I am aware there's a pro game, NFL game going on. I don't really care. Maybe you want to watch it. That's fine. I'll read about it tomorrow. So have a good night and have enjoyed the show, and thanks for joining. And the Buddy Martin Show is on the air. Tell your friends and neighbors.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Well, Florida had a tough enough schedule. It got tougher after the weekend. And so I just read the list of playoff teams that Florida plays against. I think I read about 10 of them, all the way down to the 5s: Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, 5. No Big Ten teams. Listen to me. Not one Big Ten teams faces more than 4 playoff teams now. Is that fair? I mean, you can talk about the dominance of the Big Ten, whatever, but, I hope this will be the year when they'll take strength of schedule seriously, because let's be honest, we think it's pretty unfair, but that's the hand they've drawn, and so that's the game they'll play. But I don't know. I'll go ask Ben Troupe if he thinks this is a good thing. Ben Troupe, of course, 84 Reasons, our regular co-host on Thursday nights. Good evening to you, Ben.
How you doing, buddy? Buddy, are you already coming with the – I don't know if it's fair or unfair. I think it's par for the course because that's what happened with Florida, right? We just changed up what? UCF, the USF, and I know we're going to get into it here in a second, but if you are Florida, would you want it any other way? Because if we didn't learn anything for 2024 – that's simply be prepared for 2025. We know what's coming, and we get it. USF looked good. They played before us. Miami found a way to, get a claw out of win against Notre Dame, and Florida State dominated Alabama. Should we be worried? I would say no. And I heard you when you first came on, buddy, talking about should we be concerned about last week? The answer is no. Here's why. DJ Lagway hadn't played meaningful snaps in a long time. He didn't play in the spring, right? He got to play a little bit in the fall, as far as like fall camp, and he came out a little rusty. Is that going to be indicative of how he's going to play all year? I say no, but I would say this: we have grown accustomed the last 3 or 4 years to hit the caution button and not the calm button. 55-0, and I get our kicker missed, 2 kicks, and we're gonna be fine. No one knows what no team is after week 1, but I can deal with 55-0 against the LIU team. They give them a lot of credit for trying to stay in it. Loren Meadows said, "I would be surprised if they score." They didn't score. We have become either we want to win or how do we look winning? Well, how did they look? They didn't have 100 yards on offense, I don't think. And then we ran the football, starting quarterback, backup quarterback played, and Vernell Brown III.
Wow.
My goodness. That guy, I think that guy is going to be special. That's with no Dallas Wilson, on Saturday. So I think we'll be fine. I just think that our fans, we have become accustomed to feedback through scrutiny. It can't just be, hey, man, first game jitters for every team. And we won. Could you imagine if LIU would have scored? Could you imagine, buddy, if it was 35-14? I'm just telling you, is Billy Napier the best play caller in the world? No, and I don't know who is. I really don't know who is, but I believe his play calling will get better, and we only say it's bad when it don't work. What about the plays that do work? So yeah. I wouldn't go too crazy. It's one game. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah, here's my thoughts about that. First of all, we haven't had any games all summer. We talk about these teams like we had some evidence they got better or worse. We don't know. We haven't seen anything. Now we have a game, granted, not all fair, to go by. We've seen players, and if for no other reason than identifying people like Tramel Jones and Vernell Brown III as being outstanding players. Impressive. I mean, just the punt return where Vernell took it straight up the gut. You heard coaches talk about going north. He took it north. And so I won't get into all the other things. Yeah, there's some deficiencies on the offensive line, I guess, et cetera. DJ played okay. About what I used. Somebody said, what's the one word you'd use to describe DJ Lagway? I said sufficient. And we all know he's going to get better. I have no way to evaluate that game, but nobody got seriously hurt. And listen here, the fact that they played without one single penalty, it shows me something. They're paying attention to detail now, which they hadn't been in recent years. So I see some positive things. I'm not as worried about South Florida as some are. I know a lot of people say, well, they're awful good, and they sacked the quarterback, and they're good on defense. They're good tacklers. Yeah, all that's true, and they got a nice little team. This Florida team should handle a South Florida with no problem unless they have a whole bunch of turnovers or something happens. So I'm ready to see a ball game in the swamp. I'm ready to see a real ball game in the swamp. I want to see – I don't expect DJ to progress greatly. I think he'll get a little better. But all the players out there, there's so many good-looking young players. And there's names I've heard for the first time I've never heard of before that Billy Napier is mentioning. So I think it's okay. And I think it sits up nice. Now, realistically speaking, if you want to talk about what's ahead, there's a rough highway down there. And you're looking at after this week, those next 4 games will define Florida's season. And it's going to be tough where they're playing in Baton Rouge, in Texas, et cetera, against the Texas Longhorns, et cetera. So their games in front of them, they got to produce, they got to perform.
Yeah, buddy, but that's the story of Florida every year, right? I mean, the schedule makers didn't do Florida any favors. But I think the thing about it is, too, Florida is the type of team where they meet the talent threshold. Florida is the type of team they have expectations outside of Gainesville and national, not just geographically, not just in the SEC. And Florida is the type of team that's going to get every team's best, every last team they're going to play. And I think for Billy Napier, it's not going to be any excuses in 2025 because of what you was able to do in 2024. Now, if 2024 you go 6-6, and you kind of look now, no, you went 8-5, and every team you lost to either made the college football playoff or had a chance to be in it. That being Miami and Texas A&M. This year you had the same team, just the teams you had at home, you got on the road, and vice versa. I think for us, we are going to be highly critical of Florida, and we should be. I'm not saying we should be, but just make sure the criticism becomes feedback. And the reason why I use the word feedback is only feedback when you adjust it, when you get more information. So as we get more of this team, we adjust it because we a couple of years removed, buddy, for players being able to get lined up on defense, regardless of the team they played, being able to get the call. So for me, I like the fact that Florida is highlighting a VB3. They were trying to get Trey. Trey Harris the ball, and I get it. Ball looked good. Our offensive line, they will play better. I just think that when you talk about this Florida team, we have real expectations this year because of the talent on the field. And everybody knows if the talent on the field is there, the excuses go down. If the talent on the field is not there, the excuses go up. There will be no excuses. You got your quarterback, you got your O-line, you got Jake Slaughter. Banks should hopefully be able to play. Thornton, outside of the fumble, the 2 fumble recoveries, 1 for a touchdown, you had a lot of guys that flashed. Miles Graham he's a guy. Miles was flashing on Saturday. So I like the fact, buddy, that other guys are getting a chance because Dallas Wilson didn't play. VB3 show that one-handed catch. I like, dude, you just showing off now, young man. You out here just showing off. But I'm like you, buddy. I'm never ever concerned when it's not a reason for it. I think we've grown under Billy Napier to just be concerned. And the easiest thing is to play calling. And I get it. Either he's going to be more aggressive or be more creative. He's going to have to be one because as these teams get better, some of this play calling is going to improve, which we knew that. But for one night,
let me jump in here on this real fast. I know about the play caller, but as Shane Matthews says, if Spurrier were calling the plays, they'd still find problem.
Yes,
plays. Yes. That's the nature of the beast. But let me just say this: everybody's been telling me Steve Sarkeesian is the best play caller in football. Okay, that's what they tell me. I keep waiting. I see games like last year's Georgia game. I see him having problems making yardage in the red zone down there. And I see a repeat performance. And I see a quarterback that's not ready to play. And by not ready to play, I mean not necessarily just emotionally. But if he played, and I'll bring Franz in, if Manning played for Spurrier, the first time he threw that 98-mile-an-hour sidearm fastball to a receiver 10 yards away, his butt would be over on the sidelines. You don't throw the ball like that. And how could he be there 2 years, going on 3, with Steve Sarkeesian, the best play caller in all of football, and not have his mechanics straightened out? Because, I know it was his first real start. I understand all that. I'm not faulting Manning completely. I'm disappointed in Sarkeesian, who's supposed to be the guru. He should have gotten a better performance out of his quarterback, in my opinion. And let's see if this guy agrees with me when I ask him. As Franz Beard joins the program. Good night. Good evening. Hello, Franz.
Hi, guys. How's life in the fast lane?
What did you think of the performance of Sarkeesian?
Well, I thought Arch Manning didn't look very well prepared. I thought their entire offense didn't look very well prepared. I thought they were running the ball when they should have thrown it and throwing the ball all over the place when they should have thrown it. And I was listening earlier, and let me make one comment to those who complain now about Billy and the play calling. Year 1, year 2, I think that play calling had to do a lot with the fact that he didn't trust his defense. He trusts his defense now, and we saw the last 4 games last year that he was willing to throw the ball down the field, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had gotten to a point where he could trust his defense. And I think he really trusts his defense this year. And if Caleb Banks is back, back. If they've got those two corners, Grimsley is back, and the other one, I'm trying to remember his name right quick. But if he's got them back for this game as well, and so forth, if they're fully stacked defense with all the injuries that have come down the pike, that defense is going to be formidable. And I think that influences how you call the plays.
I agree.
Which doesn't explain Sarkeesian, because Sarkeesian's defense was lights out. They held Ohio State to 203 yards. I mean, I don't know that an Ohio State team has not, at least not since Urban came on the scene back in 2012. But you go from 2012 to 2024. I don't think an Ohio State team got held to under 350 yards in a game. I can't remember one.
And Matt Patricia was awesome. His scheme was really good. So give him a lot of credit for that, man. Let's grab Ben before he's got to go pretty quick, and I want to get his thoughts. Tight ends. I keep hearing the Cessna tight ends. Some people are complaining because Hansen the last time out wasn't playing hard. I don't know. I thought the tight end played pretty good. The three guys I saw, you saw them, Ben. Tell me about them.
I loved it. I kept saying, I said when the tight ends become a weapon, they're gonna make life real easy for everybody involved, right? Hayden, Tony, I mean, all of them got in the act. I will say this about the tight end position in Florida, and I mean this humbly. I do. We need to stop thinking, oh, he can't do this like this person. He can't do that like that person. No. Hayden Hansen is a bull in a china shop type tight end. He's not the most athletic dude, but he uses every ounce of that 6'6", 6'7". Tony Livingston is kind of like a tweener. Like he can go out there and get open on you. He can put his hand in the dirt and a mirror. I mean, he still got to eat a couple of more carbs. You know, he still got to get a couple of more carbs in him. But I like the fact that the tight ends, they saying, hey, we still play a little football over here too, right? You remember us? And they're doing it by committee, which means you recruit the way you recruit tight ends is the way you recruit running backs and receivers. Make sure that the guy you recruiting is on the field already. Like the guy you look, make sure he's out there, right? And so for me, hey man, coach, I'm more of a hand in the dirt. That's Hayden. Well, what about the move tight end? Oh, that's Tony. Well, what about that kind of slender Tate Casey type? That's so I'm happy that they was making meaningful snaps, making meaningful catches. And once again, I just, I don't know what make people think I'm the tight end guru when it comes to Florida. I am not. I appreciate
you were a great player as a tight end. Why wouldn't they think that?
Well, I will say this. I'm just, my mom, I would tell my mom, I don't need you to be my John Madden commentating every snap. But it was great. It was great.
Well, anyway, I would say that what these untrained eyes see is, as you point out, variety there with your tight ends. And unless I miss my good friends, the way Billy's offense is drawn up, the tight end has a prominent role in it, and the two tight ends especially. So I don't know. What do you think of the tight ends, Franz?
I think we're going to see a lot of deep hooks and seam routes for the tight ends this year. In the past, we've seen just a lot of little dump off routes where a guy runs about a 3-yard semi out and he's there for an emergencies. What I think they're going to be doing is they're going to be running a lot of deep seams and deep hooks and seam routes on these guys because they're both really good pass catchers. And Hayden Hansen does. I kept watching that on the replay there, and I kept thinking, how is these corners they've got, these back DBs they got to be the slowest in the world? But then I realized he's pulling away from them, and it's not that they're slow. It's just that he's 6'6" and 275 pounds, and he doesn't look it. He looks like he's got some wheels on him. He's got another Ben Troupe in him. He's channeling his inner Ben Troupe and running deeper routes than he's ever done. And Tony Livingston's just a stud athlete. That guy can flat out. He's the kind of guy, buddy, that if you told him he couldn't play tight end, he'd find a place to play. He's just a good football player who happens to be a tight end. But he's a good athlete because he's a really fine high school basketball player who could have played college basketball. He's just a good athlete. He's going to find a place to play. And a guy like that, you got to find a way to get him the ball because he's going to make some stuff happen. So I like that we got two playmakers, and everybody's telling me I hadn't seen anything till I see Amir Jones, and when he grows up, he's going to be an absolute stud.
Well, you're right. I think the thing is that I want to get back to the idea that Florida is playing this brutal schedule, and I just read off the stats that no other team has 8 teams, ranked teams they play. And I just read off the list a minute ago, and there's a whole bunch of teams in the SEC that play anywhere from 7 to 6 to 5, and no team in the Big Ten plays more than 4 ranked teams. Now, if we're going to have a fair deal here, they've got to start evaluating these schedules, and I hope they'll do it this year, because here's the other thing. Very quietly, Florida has become, not so much after last year, because I think everybody recognized what Billy did last night was a remarkable coaching job, without question. We all know about DJ taking over. But all of a sudden, they're one of the dark horses, although they're not dark anymore. But here's something I just read today. Do you realize Florida could possibly have college game days, 3 consecutive matchups after this week? You realize that? Could have Florida at LSU, Florida at Miami, and Texas at Florida. Can you imagine 3 straight game days?
Well, you look at it. You got to also think about the Georgia game in there. Florida could end up with playing number 3, 4, and 5. That as the way they're currently ranked, and they could be ranked better than that. That plus Texas is now number 7, 3, 4, 5, and 7. And let's see, you've got number 19 in there. You got number 10 in there. That's South Carolina's not on the schedule, but in the league.
Yeah.
And on and on. You got Ole Miss in there that's number 20. You got 19 and 20. Tennessee, 22.
Crazy.
It is. But, the thing about playing a schedule like this is when you start beating people like this, boy, your own ranking goes way up there, and the odds that you're going to have a chance to do something special at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Florida's basketball team, buddy. They kept beating ranked teams, and sooner or later they had to just confess that the Gators were the best out there.
Speaking of the basketball team, I'm going to use this opportunity to say it was a good day today. We're putting together the deal for the book, which will be out soon. We're securing the financing, the publishing, and within probably 4 to 6 weeks, there'll be a hardback book available for Gator fans. Call that was Franz.
The autobiography of Franz Beard.
Right.
As told to Ben Troupe.
Right. Yeah, it's obviously the book about Florida's basketball season.
It's the golden season, and credit the name to Buddy Martin who did that, because he asked me to name it, and I was in Never Land at the time.
It's going to be really good, and Ben's going to have to leave us in just a minute, but I want to get that in there. I'm excited about this book. Now, there's 2 points I want to get into before we get to our commercial, and we got Loren coming in, and Ben's got to go. Number one, I've seen variety of reports about Saban's comments. I can't quite figure out. He was disappointed that Florida State dominated the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, number one, and I understand that. And I would say, I saw Colt Kugelek talking about it on TV, and you say you just don't see a Alabama defense getting physically beaten up like that. And this team was not physically ready to play. And boy, it's going to be a tough year down in Alabama this year for sure, without question. So I don't know. What did you all think of Saban's reaction, or did you read it?
I thought Nick was holding back myself. I think Nick would. I think if you got Nick in a room where there's no way that anything he said could be recorded or recorded, and you would be under the threat of death if you repeated anything, I think Nick would say these guys suck. They're going to suck, and if they go 7-5, they're going to be.
It's over at Alabama. All right, here's the last thing, and Ben's got to go. I'm not a fan of RG3. I don't even like his name. Never was. He put out his list today of the quarterbacks and how they played. I'm assuming there wasn't enough for the body of work of Florida's quarterback to get rated or ranked or whatever. DJ, he wasn't mentioned. He said, here's the Heisman front runners after week 1. This is RG3. This is his list, okay? Number 8, Western Kentucky quarterback Maverick McIver. Number 7, Texas A&M quarterback Marcel Reed. Number 6, Arkansas quarterback Taylor Green. Number 5, Georgia quarterback Gunnar Stockton. Number 4, Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold. Number 3, Miami quarterback Carson Beck. Number 2, FSU quarterback Thomas Castellanos. Number 1, LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. Ben, what do you read in response to that?
RG3 is he's a clickbait guy these days. If he's not getting enough attention, he's going to say something to get that sensationalized media that he's looking for. RG3, look, people going to respect what he said because of what he did at Baylor, what he was able to do his rookie year in the National Football League. But if I'm DJ, I'm saying, man, just keep watching. We ain't worrying about it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to hear anything about who you play anymore. I don't want to hear it at all. And we going to see. A lot of those guys, you're going to get a chance to play. He gonna get Florida State. He gonna get Miami. He gonna get Texas A&M. He gonna get Texas. So he gonna get a bunch of those guys. It's week 1. But what they gonna say when he's in that win column? Because we get caught up in these box scores sometimes. Did he win the game though? Because I don't want to hear no 350 yards passing and 3 touchdowns when you lose them. I want to hear 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, efficiency, and winning. So RG3, look, I know you're gonna cut your hair. That haircut is awful, by the way. But keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm gonna be watching and taking notes.
All right, Franz, real quick, I'll let Ben go.
Well, Tommy Castellanos is not going to be anywhere near a top 10 quarterback by the end of the year. And that's even with FSU's pansy schedule, which, get this, East Texas A&M, which used to be Texas A&I, Kent State, which has maybe won 3 games in the last 30 years, Virginia, which is terrible. Then they got to play Miami, which is good, Pittsburgh, which is pretty good, Stanford, which is bad, Wake, which is bad, Clemson, which is pretty good. They've got, if they can't go 9-3 with that schedule, then they need to fire Mike Norvell. But Tommy Castellanos is Jackson Arnold is proving once again at Auburn what he proved last year at Oklahoma. He can run the football. He cannot throw. He couldn't hit the bull in the butt with a bass fiddle from point blank range. On and on. The end of the year, I'm gonna make you a bet. At the end of the year, you're gonna have Nussmeier will be there because he's going to have the stats. No question about it. Another one that's going to be there at the end of the year is DJ is going to be there. DJ Lagway will be there at the end of the year. You can flat out count on that.
Carson Beck, we got 10 seconds. Will he be there?
Carson Beck isn't going to be there at the end of the year. He's not that damn good.
I mean, he's got
John Mateer of Oklahoma. DJ.
We'll get into deeper list on the other side when we get Loren. But I'm going to say good night to Ben. Ben, any final thoughts? Okay, he's already gone. He had to go to. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about our our friend sponsors, and he's back from his trip, and I had him on the show last week, and he's got a great story to tell. Let's face it, Jeffrey Mellon just has too much fun. And he does a doggone good job as a lawyer, too, by the way. He's got it all. Really a great trip. He told me some of the stories about him. He told you some friends. You talked to him in Ocala, the Golden Ocala, when he's there for Todd Golden night.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeffrey is so happy to be back. He said 4 weeks was about enough being on the road. He was on the road 7. He and his wife, Tricia, had a great trip. Of course, I think 4 continents, but what a great time. He's back. He's got the shingle back up again. They're growing Meldon Law. It's now over 50 attorneys. It goes all the way south, I think, to Boca Raton. And, of course, the main ones being Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, and Williston right here. If you need an attorney, sometimes Jeffrey forgets he has to work, and he gets more caught up in doing things like buying transportation with the band, etc. Just kidding. And he'll help you get to where you need to be in terms of your whatever you're going to be doing with your legal life, and I highly recommend him. He's a friend and a lawyer and a great Gator. You like to do good business with somebody who's good at what they do, and they're a Gator. That's your man, Jeffrey Meldon. And Meldon Law, they want back down. Franz?
You know what I like about Jeffrey is I use one word with Jeffrey, genuine. And you will not meet a more genuine human being than Jeffrey Meldon. I don't care where you go or who you meet. He is just as genuine as he can be.
Yeah. All right, so friends, I saw your column. I'll be waiting on Loren here. I saw your column today, which is now posted on Gator Bait, regarding it's time for Florida to get well. And you mentioned.
Yeah, it is, because especially this game. And I know that there's a lot of people who aren't concerned about this game. I think Florida's going to win this game. But here's the big thing. Good competition, it will be. And getting guys who haven't had a chance to play good reps against good competition. I mean, I throw last week out. That last week was great for the young guys, the freshmen who ran out the tunnel for the first time, or guys who redshirted, who'd never been out on the field before. It was great for them, but not for anybody else, not really. It was a win, and they should have won. This week is the game where it's quality competition. You're going to really learn a lot about a lot of guys. I'm not ready to write off Bryce Lovett yet, although Bryce Lovett was terrible at right tackle the other day. And I thought Caden Jones, who I've been talking about for 2 years, is a guy that's going to eventually be that right tackle. I think Caden Jones proved why when he came on. But they've still got they still need to see that offensive line working against good people. And they need for those guards to be able to do what they're supposed to do so that Jake Slaughter doesn't have to cover for them every single play, which he seemed to me that he had to do last week. Austin Barber, Jake Slaughter were solid as rocks. Caden Jones looked good coming off the bench. Rod Kearney coming off the bench looked really good. But that offensive line's got to get healthy. And these backup guys like Wagnoy, like I can't pronounce his name, Nagajin,
names that I never even read before, so I don't know.
And the backup guys have got to be healthy. And they got to be able to play in a really good game. And that's what this game, the most important thing they can do other than win is for guys to get in and get quality reps against quality competition. DJ really has to step up. And, buddy, I'm going to ask the question tonight, the same thing I asked when I was riding. Is it the shoulder? Is it 100%? Is the calf 100%? How about his general health that maybe maladies we don't even know about? Is he 100%? When is he going to be 100%? Or are we going to see him at all this year 100%? We need to know.
Let me answer those questions for you. No, we won't see him at 100%, but we'll see him at 90, 95, maybe 96 or 7% time to time. They're going to have to manage his health. He can't take a lot of hits. I think he's physically strong. He's an imposing guy. Weighs 245, by the way, maybe even 246 or 7. and he's a stud. I think his timing is off because he hasn't gotten the reps he's needed. I think he will get that back, and I think he's got a group of receivers who he can throw it, they can catch it and run. And it's going to be really fun to watch him, as we saw with VB3. Vernell is just amazing. And the other thing is they got a guy who can play quarterback too. Tramel Jones can be a stud. So those are pretty encouraging things as we go to the orange and blue room and see a man who's one of the hardest working men in show business. I turn on the movies and shows, and here he is again. Loren Meadows hosting some show or whatever. How you doing, Coach?
How you doing, sir?
Good. We were just talking about the things that concern us about Saturday. I'm a lot more confident than most people are. I'm really not worried about South Florida. I know you saw him. I heard what you said on, I guess, I forget what show it was on your show. Loren, you got so many shows that you saw. You went down there and you talked to some people. I heard your guests. I'm not afraid. Tell me about it, why I should be.
Well, I mean, I think you should be afraid. I saw an article where somebody, wrote that, well, if this didn't happen, South Florida wouldn't have beat Boise State. But it did happen. Boise State did turn the ball over 3 times. South Florida did hit a huge fake punt on a big 4th down play. Byron Brown did scramble for 2 scores, which was very reminiscent of a couple years ago when Jordan Travis Houdini'd the game right away from Florida up in Tallahassee. It just lends itself to, when I look at a team, and Franz can echo this with me maybe, or he may disagree, but the 2 things that I think Florida is going to have to prove that they can do this season is go on the road and play well against a quality opponent and handle a mobile running quarterback. And I think if they, and this is the first test this week, Byron Brown makes the USF offense go. And, he's somebody that can put pressure on. I don't doubt for a second that Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, a myriad of other, Brandon Belt, all those guys on the edge, Cameron James, all those guys can get pressure on Brown. But he's a big old dude, 232 pounds, 6'3", and he runs hard. So it's really going to be on guys like Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, is when he does break, because I think they're going to flush him, is to get him on the ground. And that's concerning. I mean, you got to take care of the quarterback because it can make things happen. Yep. And then the one thing I'll give DJ Lagway is, I'll give DJ Lagway this. He never, as rusty as he was, he didn't put the ball in harm's way. He never made a throw where you were like, ooh, they fooled him or anything. He just missed some throws, which lends itself to think that, okay, as he gets more reps, he's going to get better. I also think, like somebody said, they'll be able to run the football at a high clip. So the big thing is just don't get snake bit by what Saban used to call the rat poison, or, just go out and play good football. And yes, they're a better team, but should the game get dicey late in the 4th quarter, those QB runs, those scrambles start to go from 3rd and 7 to 1st downs and things like that. And Byron Brown is somebody, I mean, he's a guy, and I didn't know this. I mean, it's pretty interesting stat. I know he was hurt most of last year, but he hasn't thrown a pick since November of 2023. So, I mean, he's a guy that's been pretty good taking care of the football. And, South Florida's got a nice team. I mean, on the hoof. I mean, yes, Boise State turned the ball over, but they forced those turnovers. I mean, those kids were out there playing, and 34-7 ain't just stealing a game. That's taking it to a team. Period.
Here's the thing that I was impressed with about their defense. They were on the field for 83 plays, 30 more plays than their offense was, and they still held them to 7 points.
Yeah.
when you give up only 7 points and you're on the field 83 plays, you got some guys, you got some dudes that can play. And, the important thing for Florida is going to be this. You can't turn the ball over, number one. And number two, you can't let their front four or front seven, however you want to put it, because I'm sure they're going to blitz. You can't let them dictate what we do. Florida has to dictate what they do, not the other way around. And that's going to be critical for this game plan. Is Florida's got to come out there with an offensive plan that dictates what their defense can do.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier, and Loren, we talked about the no penalty thing was impressive, I will say.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can play a game and you don't turn the ball over at all, or no penalties, no turnovers. I mean, you've heard me talk about it, and I think it would got to be, but I kept waiting on Florida to play a clean game against anybody. Play a game that you could say this was a clean football game. And for the first time under Billy Napier, they really played a clean football game. Now it was LIU, but some people can't play a clean football game against air. I guarantee you take a college team out there and you say, hey, snap count on 2, and you go a whole practice, somebody going to jump off sides when the snap count is on 2. So, I mean, for them to be able to play mistake-free football, never really put the ball in harm's way, no penalties on defense, no face masks, nothing careless, unnecessary roughness, very impressive. And I think Billy Napier, he spoke about some of the things, the intangible things that make this team great, doing the little things, attention to detail, that everybody is kind of taken from not only the weight room, but the classroom to the practice field. And it showed. I mean, you got to give Florida credit. I mean, Florida could go out and boat race USF, but they're going to have to play a great football game, and they're going to have to keep the ball out of harm's way, and they can't give them anything. I mean, that's the key.
One of the things that impressed me, Loren, watching that game was guys getting off the field. Nobody was just kind of lingering and kind of strolling off the field. I remember the Alabama game in 2020, the SEC championship game. Florida wins that game if one guy takes the time to get off the field.
Yeah.
That penalty in the first half cost Florida the entire ball game. Florida beats Alabama that game without that.
No doubt, yeah, because it was ping pong. It was basically my serve, your serve, my serve, your serve. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, but if you think about games, there's been games under Napier where just key points that mistakes were made.
Yeah.
And so I think that we talked about this on the show on Tuesday with Edgar Thompson. It's a different tenor. It's a different tenor with Billy Napier, who's been around good football programs. This is a team that and especially if they had Missouri's schedule. I know we talk about Missouri and their schedule last year. It'd be a playoff team. I mean, it's just they face a buzzsaw, and I'm writing about it in my article. You hear Billy Napier in the pregame talk about 1 week contracts. Well, they got to take every week by week. They can't look ahead. That schedule, excuse me, is too daunting, and it starts Saturday. I mean, with USF, they got to stay focused and give Florida credit. I mean, like I said, they could go and blow USF out, and I wouldn't be surprised. But if it's tight in the fourth quarter, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Florida's got to play this game. Florida has got to play this game with the same attitude as okay. I heard Lou Holtz once talk about the secret of being a great college football coach, and people said, why do you build that other team up so much? And he said, because I want my guys to understand when you go out that Notre Dame tunnel, you see that sign up there. It says, play like champions. And he wanted them to understand that. And if you're going to be a great team, you got to have a championship mentality even before you play the game. And you got to go out there with the idea, I'm going to play like a champion today. I don't worry about don't worry about what the other team is or where they're ranked or anything like that. You got to worry about you. This is what I am. And I hope that Billy's been able to put that in the heart and the mind. It's not just one thing. You can think it, and if it ain't in your heart, it ain't going to work. If it's in your heart, but you just stop thinking, it ain't going to work. It's got to be in both places, and they got to coordinate with each other.
I just want to say that there was something that happened today in legislation. It's so hard to keep up with this stuff. You can become a policy wonk instead of a college football if you're not careful. But apparently the NCAA Football Oversight Committee, whatever that is, they said today they supported an idea of having a single transfer portal window in January. I think we all
that's been in the works. That's been in the works. Sankey talked about
refreshing.
that.
This is a new one, though. This is a new breaking story today by Ross Dellinger, who knows his stuff. And so,
yeah, but that's what Sankey was talking about going to back in Destin, and they're finally.
That's the point. The
it.
news is they're acting on it. That's what it is. So moving in the right directions. Those things. I don't even like to think about it. I'd rather think about the things I saw that I enjoyed this past week, which is some of these players. I just love Vernell Brown. I love what we saw from him. I love what little we saw from Jones, who I think is going to be the real deal. I love the running back room. You guys know how much I know their stud running back. I mean, I think Baugh, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. If he didn't get hurt, he could be that. I just wish they lined him up and let him run 4 or 5 straight times. But I understand why they didn't. They don't want to get him hurt. And a couple of times, like one time, nobody blocked. 3 guys hit him. He still made yardage. This guy's a real deal. He's going to be a superstar if he's not already. And can you imagine if you let yourself go and think about the talent level, the front 7, disappointed that we were in the offensive line, but the front 7, the linebackers they got, which they really love a lot, the fact that they got the defensive backs now are coming in play, and the excellence is starting to build up in this program. Now, does that to say they're all ready to beat everybody? No. Could they lose? Yeah, they could lose to LSU. They could lose a lot of games. But I like the excellence I'm seeing. I think about the pieces that they've got. Now they've got such firepower with guys like Jaden Ball and others. And I can't wait to see them get on the same page, guys.
I think, buddy, that this team is
primed.
I think that's the right word, primed. I was trying to think of how I was going to say it, but I think these guys who've been here 2 and 3 years have had enough of what might have been as far as bad stuff, bad juju, shall we say. They've had enough of the bad juju and what could have been last year when they held together and turned it around. Because, last year after the Georgia game, people were ready for Billy to be gone. And then they get blown out by Texas. And, he was, there are people in Gainesville who would have tar and feathered him. And then he turns it around. And I think there's enough guys that know how good it feels to turn it around and how bad it felt before, that they've kind of gotten themselves a mentality. We know what's behind us. Now let's focus on the future. And I think, and when stuff like that happens, that was how, remember Charlie Pell telling me that about the Gators, is he said they were able to tell these guys, 10-1, you're not going to relive the past. 10-1's behind you. You got to focus totally on the future. So what do? They go out and go 8-3-1, his second year on the job, and everybody's saying, what a turnaround. Well, the turnaround started up here and in here. It didn't start, he had better players his second year, obviously. But, guys who'd had their fill of that 0-10-1 in the losing season the year before and a bad season, although with a winning record the year before that. Guys get their fill of that. And when you get the quality guys who've had their fill of bad stuff, good stuff usually happens. Wouldn't you say, Loren?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's evident in what they've been building. And, it's what, in the past, what caused them to lose some games we all thought they should have won. But, you've seen basically, I mean, like I talk about it, it was almost like I had this awakening leaving Austin, because after talking to Shamar James and Chimera DK after the game, I was just like, man, they really like playing for this dude. And when you have that, it just showed a belief, because none of us really know what's going on inside the Heavener but the team. And they believe in what they are doing. And I think Billy Napier, to his credit, has stuck to the roots of his plan. I really applaud him for changing the way that they practice, because we talked about it on this show a million times that we didn't think they were necessarily practicing as hard as they possibly could, but they continue to compete in practice, and it showed. And so, I agree, buddy. I mean, you got a great running back room. You're loaded with as much talent as wide receiver as you've had in probably 5 years. I mean, this is a team that is built not only to win this year, but when things flip over, I mean, it's not going to get any easier now with the 9 conference games, but I don't think they'll have necessarily, well, I guess it's murderer's row for everybody, but it should get a little easier. And now they're going to have a third-year starter quarterback, a third-year starter running back, really good receivers coming back, an offensive line.
Second-year starter quarterback.
What's that?
The second-year starter quarterback.
Well, I'm talking about next year, building the next year. It'll be a third-year start, so you're going to have – I'm saying it's built – it's not only built for today, it's built for going forward, and that's what people want to see. So that's the way you want to build your football program. And I spoke with somebody close to the program last night, and, not to look ahead because I think they got big things ahead of them this year. But you look at this team next year, man, next year is their year. And I mean, where they're really going to be good, but they're good now. They just got to go out and handle business. What I would just hate to see this team that I think has done a lot of soul searching off the field to not be ready to go at any time on the field this year.
Well, we saw teams that weren't ready to go. They went out there, they were not prepared, and the quarterback wasn't prepared, and the team wasn't prepared. I mean, it's going to be pure hell in Alabama. It's really going to do.
That's a whole nother story.
Not only is it going to be pure hell because they weren't prepared, it's going to be pure hell because they don't have a quarterback.
They got quarterback problems.
You've got serious quarterback issues, and if this guy beat out your other 2 guys, how bad could the other 2 guys be?
How did they miss so badly on DeVore?
He was the 4th choice. I don't think they missed. Nobody else wanted the job.
How could you get in the position of now because I guess following the legend?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot didn't 4 or 5 guys turn him down, Franz? Or
I think he was the third choice.
Okay, so
I don't think he got that down to there, but he wasn't the number 1 choice. They following a legend is, you look at the guys who follow legends, and Ron Zook didn't do so well following Spurrier. And what are we on now? The 4th guy sent to follow Urban, and we're finally starting to see the fruits of the labor for that. Look at what happened at FSU. I mean, they had a run with Jimbo, but then that all fizzled. And I'm still not sold on them. I mean, they're going to have a good year this year because of the fact that their record's going to be good because they play a lot of bad teams.
Has anybody since integration of college football followed a legend and been successful?
Joe Paterno followed Ripping. Okay. He was pretty. He was pretty damn. He was pretty damn
That's
good.
the outlier.
Was a legend. That's what. Not.
Tom Osborne followed Bob
Okay.
Devaney. That was
Okay.
another one. Ryan Day followed Urban Meyer. That's another one that,
He was
that
on
I
staff.
think was pretty darn good. But it doesn't happen all that often. John Robinson followed John McKay. But for everyone like that, you can point to one that, just absolutely fizzled. My gosh. Alabama, you follow Ray Perkins, and then you had Bill Curry, and then you had a brief part with Gene Stallings, and then all of a sudden you had Mike Dumbos and the coach for a day,
Price. Yeah.
Mike Price.
Franz, I've told the story on the air before. You probably heard it. When I was in New York, I covered a little bit of football, but I mostly worked inside. But Ray Perkins was a guy I got to know early. He didn't have great relationships with most media, but for whatever reason, I had a great relationship with him. I went to his house on a holiday weekend to cook hamburgers, just he and his wife and me and my wife. And we were sitting in the back porch having a cool and talking. I said to him, here he is, the head coach of the New York Giants. What are you going to do, Ray, when Alabama comes calling and Bear steps down and the four people they're going to go after, you're one of them. What are you going to say if they come to you and say, we want you to be our coach at Alabama? You know what he said? I'm going to take it. You know what? He did.
Yeah.
And something, here's a guy.
Legend, all right.
That followed the legend, screwed up that screwed up, but screwed up his entire coaching career because he was on a fast track to be a tremendous NFL coach. And when he went back to Alabama, he was never the same coach again. And man, that you try coaching at a place like Alabama or at Florida, or a place like that. Man, the expectations are like having tons of weight on your
guys,
shoulder.
we got to go. We both got 30 seconds apiece to wrap up what our thoughts are going to be for the weekend. What's first?
What's that?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'll and to say Nathaniel Rodgers. Remember, Tom Landry the Dallas Cowboys were kind of done when Jimmy Johnson took over. I think they picked in the top 5 2 years before Jimmy Johnson got there. I mean, he was following the legend, but they were already in the toilet. But anyway, it's going to be a fun weekend. I think that lots going on. There's a lot of people playing, as my man Franz says, paycheck tech. But, it's going to be a lot of eyes on this South Florida game. And, South Florida has Miami the next week. So Miami will be tuned in. And I think it's going to be a good game. I mean, I think that Florida will handle USF, but it'll be closer. I think they cover. I think USF covers. So,
Friends?
I think it'll be a good first half. And I think Florida's depth and ability to keep running fresh legs at wide receiver and at running back. Boise didn't have these kind of receivers, didn't have these kind of running backs. And it's one thing to be out there for 83 plays against Boise wide receivers. It's another thing to be out there with guys that are Olympic sprinters that can haul you down the field. Second half, I think Florida pulls away and wins couple touchdowns or so.
And my man Devin Moore is healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
And in the secondary too.
Yes, great job. Appreciate it very much, and appreciate all the work you do. See you at the Ball Yard this weekend. All right.
All right, gentlemen.
You gonna be down Bud Light?
Yeah, I'll be
there.
Oh
my goodness!
Yeah.
We've gone from just a ball game to an event.
Just classed the place up a little bit, didn't he, Frank?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Take care. Good night. Thanks. I appreciate it. Very good. Thanks also to Ben Troupe. We go out tonight talking about our friends at Titan MRI, one of our main sponsors. They are known now very well as someone who will accommodate you in your needs. No one really likes to have an MRI. It's not something you do on your day off for fun. And sometimes you have a hard time getting time off to do any of it. They accommodate you with this. Titan MRI and imaging has made it possible for you to set your own times, or at least get a variety of times, to be flexible in your schedule. If you can't get off during the day, they'll make you a night appointment. They have several locations to serve you. They're in Gainesville, the Millennium Center, and also up in Columbia County, Lake City, Valdosta, Georgia. It's just a good place to go because they accommodate you with your needs. Like if you don't like those tiny little cages or tubes that you go to, they have the larger ones to keep you from getting claustrophobic. That is probably the most difficult thing if you've never had one, is getting used to those tight quarters. Titan MRI thinks of it all. They want you to consider them for your next CAT scan or your MRI, whatever you need. Locations to serve you, and I said North Central Florida. Soon coming to Ocala as well. They'll take you in, and you can check them out if you want to get someone interested in you, interested in your, and you're the customer and you pay. If you need a little help, by the way, in that area, they have their special program, and they have, you now could take your insurance there at Titan MRI. Titan MRI Imaging, check them out, locations near you. Thanks to them. Thanks to our friends, all our sponsors and friends, Jeffrey Mellon, Mellon Law. Thanks to our guest tonight. Hope you enjoyed the program. Looking forward to the ball game. By the way, I like Florida to win this game. I'd like it to win it by about 15, 16 points. That's just my pick, okay? Going on just gut instinct. So we will see what happens. We'll be at the ball yard this weekend. Look forward to it. So have a good night, folks, and we'll catch up to you soon.